Yo, what is going on, guys? It is episode 39 of many. Just want to say thank you guys for listening, tuning in. We've had a good amount of people give us some feedback in the last couple episodes. We have recently been doing some interviews, which has been very exciting. You guys have gotten to listen a little bit about the story a little bit more, for like a different angle of the story or different point of view of the stories. So we had Kyle on and we had Gavino on. Two great interviews to kind of start us off. It was their first time speaking into a mic, speaking into a camera, so that was really cool for them too. I know after both of those interviews, they were both pretty hyped up. They were excited. They felt good. It was out of the way, no more nerves and that kind of stuff. So overall, I was very happy with the outcome of both of those interviews. I felt energized. It was really cool to reminisce a little bit, go back, learn a little bit about, not necessarily learn, but just kind of uncover or remember some of those things that have happened the last 7 years, 8 years, and just really cool. Had a really good time. I really look forward to kind of expanding and building on that. I hope you guys are enjoying some of the conversations that we're having, because there's a lot more to come. There's a lot more in store. There's a lot more where that came from, right? So we've got a lot more. We have several more interviews. Sorry, I can't speak very well. We've got several more interviews planned. We've got a lot of our staff, a lot of our day ones, maybe some of my family that have been here and kind of experiencing it from their point of view. I want to try to get as much of that out in the world as possible so you guys can understand exactly how it all played out. And it's also interesting, there's two sides to every story. In this case, there's multiple sides to this story, but I think it's interesting seeing, instead of just hearing me tell you the story and believe everything that I have to say, I want you guys to hear it from like my parents. What did they see? How did they feel about it when I dropped out? How did they see it all play out? Hopefully I can get them on here and they can kind of do a talk like that. Gavino is a great one. Our now gym manager, and kind of how that all played out. Kyle being a day one living with us. That was awesome. We've got Nolan. Nolan Hins is going to come on as well. He also lived with us at one point. He is also one of my best friends growing up and now works with us full time. He's been kind of sticking by me through thick and thin as well, so that'll be super exciting. I'd also like to bring on some of my early on friends, people who aren't necessarily involved in the business, but hear what they thought about it as it was going on. When I'm 19, 20, 21, and we're building this thing, I want to know what my friends thought that didn't really understand what was going on, you know what I mean? Because a lot of those people early on don't really understand. They can't grasp the entirety of what you're really doing and what's really happening. So I think a lot of the times, especially at that age, 19 to 21 to 22, I mean, shit, even the last 3 or 4 years ago, now it's a little bit more believable. We've built something big. You can see our gyms when you drive through towns. We've got several employees. We've got a lot of moving parts. You can kind of start to believe and understand that there's a bigger picture here. But when I was younger, again, 19, 22, somewhere in that range, I think a lot of those conversations I would have with individuals, they didn't really understand to the scope or to the level of what we were really doing and what we were really building. So I think it'd be very fun and interesting to get some of those people on as well, to just see how crazy maybe they thought we were, or how much they did understand or did not understand. So if you are listening and want to be on the pod at one point or another, even if you have nothing to do with the story, but maybe you're a gym member, maybe you're a gym staff, maybe you're just happening to listen to this episode, if you've got something interesting you want to talk about, I'm all about bringing you on. If you had a business at one point, if you've got a cool life story, if you just want to be interviewed because you feel like you've got some interesting stuff to say, if you have a specialty that you want to kind of bring onto the podcast to kind of let people know more about what you do, I'm all ears. So if you're listening to this and you're you're one of our loyal, true podcast listeners, we're basically looking to get like kind of a, not a waiting list, but kind of applicants, right? People who would like to be on the pod. And then I do want to start scheduling this out. So we are going to look to fine tune this podcast a little bit better. What I mean is we're going to try to categorize the things that we do talk about in this podcast, whether it be finances, motivation, workout routine, nutrition habits, interviews, right? Whatever our kind of 4 or 5 subcategories are, we're going to try to label those better on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and all that kind of stuff, so you guys can easily just like sift through and see what we talked about and what category. So that's going to be kind of coming here in the future. We've got a lot of plans with this podcast. Our studio, I'll kind of touch base on that as well, but I do want to do some like local business interview stuff too, to help promote local businesses, to help obviously get their audience kind of tuning into us. get our audience maybe understanding that there's another local business in town that does X, Y, or Z. So I do kind of plan on bringing that all together as well. So again, if you want to be in the pod, just give us a shout, shoot us an email, marketing@fitnessgrizzly. If you've got me on any social media, just shoot me a message and let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll kind of work on scheduling that. I'm going to say this out loud for more of a personal accountability. I really want to get in the better habit of pre-planning my month, obviously week to week, but more of my month of scheduled podcast recordings. So that way we can just have some stuff pre-planned and ready to go, but also so I just know, hey, we've got an interview booked for Wednesday with G, the producer, right, or whatever. So those are just kind of some things that we're working on. We'll kind of keep talking about the podcast here since that's the direction I've been going so far. We were going to do a Stained Concrete look. At this point, everybody that I've talked to is booked up for the next 6 months to a year. So they say. Obviously, it's more outdoor concrete work right now, so trying to do indoor concrete work during the summer, just a lot of people don't want to do it. So we're actually going to be looking at doing an epoxy job in here on the floor, which will be, I think it'll still turn out really well. I was debating doing like a vinyl flooring option as well, but I really want to keep it a concrete look, epoxy look, something like that. So that's what we're going to do. We actually hired a new handyman, so if you see him around Princeton or Watoma, his name is Jim or James. He is awesome. He is from the Montello area. Fantastic guy. He's going to be helping us out with a bunch of miscellaneous projects. So that is kind of why we're going to pursue the epoxy flooring as well, because he feels confident in his ability to do so. So he's going to help us with that, which is really going to help move this project along. The upside to moving this project along is you're not going to be just staring at a blank wooden dinner table and a blank gray wall. We are going to get this place spruced up. We're going to make it awesome. It's going to be kind of like a glorified man cave. I'm going to have my office down here so I can kind of get some alone time when I need to. If I'm doing finances or, for example, we were doing some payroll audits today and some stuff like that. So this will give me kind of a safe space, a place where I can just kind of come down, get some work done myself. But also this space will serve as our podcast studio. We'll do interviews down here, maybe with staff as well for future staff. We'll do team meetings down here. We might be doing like our Christmas parties down here. I just really plan to make this place kind of fun and cool. The ideal, my vision in my head, if I could have like a little pool table down here or maybe like a ping pong table, just kind of like a little break room, little fun room, something to just kind of bring it all together. That is kind of our goal. One, first and foremost, is an awesome podcast studio. Obviously, we're not going to go spend buco bucks on it, but we're going to get some cool decorations. We're going to have some cool like old memorabilia of like our original companies and that stuff hanging on the wall. So super excited. That's kind of where we're at. If you're watching the video, you can also see we got some new mic stands, very nice clip-ons here. I got to get 2 more. I've got to get 1 more podcast mic as well, so then we can have up to a group of 4. I do think doing a podcast with multiple people, especially people who aren't familiar with talking in front of a audience, so to say, or into a mic, will be somewhat difficult. It'll be kind of a learning curve, right? A one-on-one interview is easy. You can conduct, you can go back and forth. You guys can talk over each other a little bit, but trying to get 2 or maybe 3 people involved in a conversation and making it all work for the podcast, I think it's just a little bit of a learning curve too. So I'm excited to kind of work on that as well. So I think that's kind of some of my updates on the podcast studio. Let me see what else I got in my notes here for you guys. I know, like I said, I did 2 interviews back to back. We did last week Thursday and then this week Tuesday. I'm recording on Tuesday, so you guys will see this episode on Thursday. So we just did 2 back-to-back episodes of interviews. I don't want to do that consistently, so that way you guys kind of have a little bit of mix on this podcast. I don't want you guys to get bored of just interviews. And those of you who maybe look to this podcast for some motivation, I want to provide that for you as well, right? So as of right now, my current thought is 1 day a week, maybe do like an interview or a story or a conversation with an individual, and then 1 day a week, you maybe get just me or me and another person kind of talking about a specific topic that might bring motivation or education to you. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Another exciting thing about the podcast too, so we're talking about interviews we have lined up and stuff like that. I have a mentor from Scottsdale, Arizona area. He is a gym owner, but also he's very big into finances and helping individuals kind of plan for the future, let's say, like financially, right? So I'm going out to Tucson at the end of July, like the second to last weekend in July. My grandpa's birthday. I believe he turns 85. So we're going up there for his birthday. Of course, it's going to be the hottest time of the year. We're aware of that, so you don't need to text me and say, why are you going to Tucson at the hottest time of the year? Yeah, I know, it's going to be hot. But we're going out there for his birthday. So we'll go out there, hang out with him, celebrate. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to be back in the Scottsdale area. And Scott is my mentor. He said, why don't we do a podcast Monday morning? You can come on my podcast for an episode. I'll hop in yours for an episode. So super excited for that because he's very experienced in that field. He's got a lot of knowledge. I think you guys will really enjoy hearing what he has to say. We'll kind of dive deep into like finances and planning for the future, retirement, that kind of stuff. Just maybe like 401ks versus Roth IRAs, and just give you guys some really good information on that because he's extremely knowledgeable in that field. And I think that'd be very fun for you guys to kind of learn and understand a little bit more. A little bit more of like a non-traditional entrepreneur style. And I think we'll do a good job of kind of breaking it down if, just kind of on what your lifestyle is, right? So we'll do our best to kind of say, if here's your situation, this might be what you should start with, a Roth IRA or whatever, right? Versus doing a 401k this way or that way, right? Like I think we'll be able to really break it down and give you guys some good knowledge. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. That one's going to be awesome. I'll do my best to throw that on my Snapchat and Instagram. We'll be sending out emails when that podcast comes. I do intend on getting more individuals like that, like guest speakers on the podcast to bring you guys more knowledge and more information because I think you guys will enjoy that instead of just hearing me saying go be 1% better and be the best version of you, which I think you guys do need to hear that and hear it often because I think it's just a good reminder. Consistency is great. I think it'll be good to hear other people's wisdom and understanding of life and just kind of some ins and outs and some nuances. So anyways, that was another little thing that I wanted to mention to you guys, which is super cool and exciting. Let's see what else we've got. I will move on from the pod. I don't think I've got any other updates for you guys there. I know. So my goal is to record a podcast with Nolan later this week or early next week. And so he'll be our next interview so you guys can hear his full story. If you guys are listening to the audio versions of these, we do in the future intend on referencing certain items. I was just talking to G about this like right before we started recording, and Nolan actually kind of brought up the idea. I was kind of thinking of it too. We want to, when we're doing these interviews and we're talking about the old times or the story of the history, we want to be able to reference some original photos or video footage from that. So hypothetically, if we were going live, let's say, we could reference the video. It would kind of come over the podcast recording and you guys could see it. But for the YouTube watchers, I think our plan in the future is to include some of that stuff as well, where you guys can kind of see referencing old photos and videos and kind of how it used to be. And just, I don't know, I think that stuff's cool. So that's something that we'll work on doing as well. So other updates, as we're just going to kind of talk a couple more updates regarding the company, and then I'll see if I got a little bit of motivation for you guys to kind of wrap up the episode. But I don't think I've spoke too much about it yet. We had a massive Planet Fitness install. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we talked about? I don't think we've. So we had this massive Planet Fitness install that I know I've mentioned a little bit. We were out 2 weekends ago. So not this past weekend, which would have been July 4th, but the weekend prior, Sunday, we drove out to St. Paul, Minnesota area to begin a big Monday all-day install in St. Paul for a Planet Fitness. So we started at 7 a.m. and we ended up working till 3 o'clock-ish probably, and then had a 4-hour drive home, 3.5-hour drive home. Install went very good. There was definitely some little things that we need to clean up our game on. Again, kind of striving to be the best at what we do in every area of what we do. Our install game is very good. On these massive installs, it's easy to get in not a rush, but like a competition. How fast can we get this done? And like how impressive can we be? Which is good to want to get in and get out, but bad because there's some little things that we miss. When we install 3 treadmills and a bike, it's pretty easy to make sure all 3 treadmills in the bike are wiped down and cleaned up and they're testing properly, right? Like it's easy. It's a small install. Now, when you go do 27 treadmills, or I want to say it was like 50 cardio units roughly, plus strength equipment, plus weights, right? Like it's a lot more. And again, you get in a rush and you've got a dozen or so guys doing the install. It's very easy to overlook little things. So me as a leader, I need to reflect on that. And then my direct leaders underneath me need to understand too, we need to just step up our game a little bit. If we're going to be the best in the industry at gym installs, for example, we need to take pride in all of our work and make sure that we stay that extra half an hour to an hour, not rush out the door, and just make sure we're doing good. So that's something we're working on with our team. I thought you guys would kind of find that interesting. I always am coaching being the best you, being 1%. So it's important to self-reflect and understand where you can be better. I know I've mentioned to you guys before, at the end of each day, maybe at the end of each week, think about your wins. Think about the things that you accomplished. Think about how awesome you did, and don't let the little things get you down. But it's also important to self-reflect on the things that you can be better at. Something that I need to do a better job of is at the end of each day or each week is think about what interactions or conversations that I have today that as a leader weren't to my standards, weren't to my quality, right? For example, if G calls me and I pick up the phone and I'm just like an asshole and I'm just pissed off and I'm not giving him the time of day, like he didn't do anything wrong, maybe I'm just in a bad mood. As a leader, my mood should not be coming off onto him, right? Like it's not his fault. It has nothing to do with him. And there's no reason for me to be edgy. Now, G is my brother. There might be some stuff there as brotherhood goes, and we're just dickheads to each other. But just generally speaking, if any of my staff calls me, reaches out to me, knocks on the door, there's no reason for me to be in a bad attitude or not have the time to talk to them, right? So you have to think about your self-reflections. I'm sure there's a conversation we all have throughout the day that could have gone a little bit differently. An interaction, whether it's at the gas station, whether it's in the office, whether it's at home with a spouse or a significant other, whatever it may be, child of yours, self-reflect and think about how could have I spoken that a little bit differently? How could have I came off a little bit more respectful? And depending on how the conversation went, it might have gone completely different because of the way you came off, right? So think about the way you're communicating with individuals, and I think that's something we can all reflect on basically daily, because there's probably always at least one bad interaction we have a day that we could have tweaked, we could have said a little bit differently, we could have put a smile on before we started talking, whatever it may be, and it would have changed the entire outcome of that conversation. So a little piece of advice there for everybody. You don't have to be a business owner. Everybody's a leader in their own sense. Everybody leads something, whether it's a family, like I said, your kids, spouse, workplace, volunteer work, whatever it is, online group of people, whatever. There's people who look up to you. So make sure you're thinking about you as a leader, as an individual, and work on developing your own skills that way. So a little rant there, but that's what I noticed from our Planet Fitness install was how do we become a better team? How do we become better leaders? And how do we work with like Kyle and Nolan, myself, and maybe the guys under them, right? Like you have all these levels of leadership. How do we continue to develop up the chain and make sure everybody's understanding what is needed from our company? So we have another, today again is like July 7th or July 8th today. July 16th, 17th, and 18th, we'll be out in St. Paul and St. Cloud, Minnesota, doing 2 more massive Planet Fitness installs. So it's kind of like another tryout. Let's see how well we can do on a massive install. Both of those installs require anywhere from 10 to 15 guys. So we're going to be bringing a large crew of guys out there, multiple vehicles, and just doing our best to get those installs done well and efficiently. So I will strive to do better than we did this last time and make sure that we give it our best effort. So that's kind of an update there. I know I had one other update I want to give you guys quick. This was super cool, super interesting. I had a coffee date this morning, and I don't drink coffee anymore. As you guys know, I don't do caffeine, so I actually just went to a coffee shop, and I got a free cup of water, and he got a coffee, and he actually brought his son along with. And so I'm not going to name any names. Maybe if I could have them on a podcast, actually, which I bet I could, get them on them for a podcast, I bet it would be an awesome podcast, hearing their story and what they've built and how insane they are. But long story short, I had a coffee date with a very successful individual and his son. His son is actually 19, I think, something like that, like first year of college, second year of college. And he's actually debating dropping out, which is very ironic because obviously that's when I dropped out. He's an extremely smart kid. I mean, just one of those, you talk to him, you just know he's got a really good head on his shoulders, but he wants to start something of his own. So we had about an hour and a half conversation. I was going to meet with the father so that way I could kind of pick his brain, understand how he started, where he came from, and obviously get any insight that I could to better my business, right? Well, this hour and a half was basically both of them just grilling me with questions, asking how I've done what I've done, how I've built what I've built, which is great for them because they got a lot of information and knowledge and maybe some different thoughts on my business and stuff, which in end actually helped me because they gave me some different point of views. Hey, think about this, think about that. Have you considered implementing this, right? So like it was a very good conversation regardless. I just had planned on coming there to be the guy asking the questions and learning more. So overall, very good conversation. Ironically enough, the son, he is looking to build his own. He's building his own software for gym users that will basically be like an auto response type thing for. And I don't want to say this too much because maybe he'll come on for a podcast and totally correct me. But it's basically going to help with response times to emails, Facebook, Instagram, Google reviews, everything besides phone calls for like gym owners. Now, obviously, it doesn't need to be just for gym owners. You could take this to any market, but he wants to help build a software to increase responses through AI and chatbots to make sure that you're getting good quality answers, not just a generic, hey, it's Facebook chatbot and, what time do you want to come see us? Like he wants to build it out pretty well. And so it was a very good conversation for him because he was learning a lot about my gym business and kind of how it all works and what our pain points are and how a business like his could help ours, right? So it ended up being a very good talk for him. I got his number. We're going to connect more. He's more than willing to. I told him, reach out to me with any questions you have. I'd love to help, right? So that's just how connections work. And it's just networking, right? It was a good conversation. So, but I went to this with the intention to meet with the father. And the goal outcome of this was to, again, just truly learn, understand, and network, make a better connection, know each other better. And if I ever need something in the future and he can help me out, great. And vice versa. Obviously, I don't have quite the networking contact list as he does, but our goal was to just, again, exchange kind of information. And I've met with him a couple times in the past. The last time we had connected was probably 3-4 years ago prior to the Watoma gym opening. And at that time, I was a young, naive kid. And I didn't have nearly the track record I do now as far as things that we've built and the size and scale of what we've got. So I think at the time, we didn't connect nearly as much as we do now because I've got a lot more knowledge and understanding of like business and life. But back then, he was kind of like, I don't know if Watoma is a good idea. Like it's just, there's a lot of risk there, small town, But now he understands kind of our model a lot better. Big gyms in small towns, small community. After today, he understood it like way better. So he was like, I love it. I'm all in. It's great. And the coolest thing about this at the end of this conversation was thanked me for my time, really appreciated it, said he's here for another 2-3 weeks, like first week of August. And if I have any business ideas or thoughts or a business that I want to dive into or review a little bit more, he'd be more than happy to sit down and take the time to do that. But also, he left the conversation with, if you're ever looking for an investor in the future, investing isn't about investing in the business, it's about investing in the person. And he said, I believe in you, and I think whatever you do, you're going to be successful at, which obviously was a huge, and I'm not saying this to you guys to toot my own horn, or it was just hearing that from somebody of that level of success. It was just a great feeling, right? And on top of that, him understanding my business model and everything else, like him willing to invest in our business, like that's like the greatest. How else can you say I really believe in what you're doing and like I believe in you as an individual, right? Like, so it was super cool. We had a lot in common. I was just extremely satisfied with that meeting this morning. So again, it was about an hour and a half long. It was so awesome. It didn't even feel like an hour and a half. It felt like 10 minutes of talking. And by the time you looked at your phone, it had been an hour and a half. So anyways, super cool, super awesome. That's probably my highlight of the week. That's my win of the week. So let's go back into, what do we got for time, G? 25? So let's go, let me see what I can leave you guys with today. I had this random thought recently, and I'll try to say it here. It might come out great. It might come out poor. I'm not too sure. But I was thinking, like the other day before I was going to bed, sometimes I just get these random ideas, and they're the most dangerous before I go to bed because once I have an idea before I go to bed, I often can't fall asleep, or I end up dreaming about it, or whatever, right? Like I just have, if you text me at 8:30 o'clock at night with a great business idea, usually my brain turns on and I'm just not going to bed. So this isn't a crazy idea by any means, but my thought in my mind was like we're all one and the same as far as we all enter the world and leave the world the same way, right? Whether I'm leaving like your beliefs, your personal beliefs out of this, but we come in by ourselves and we come into this world and we leave this world as an individual, right? And so, and I don't know the best way to word that, right? But basically my thought was we all come in the same way and we all leave the same way, and that's unavoidable, right? And we didn't choose to be here, and sometimes we don't necessarily have a choice when we leave either, right? I mean, it's just like kind of your time. So what do you do with that chunk of time that you do have? You don't know how much time you have. You don't know what tomorrow holds. A lot of us are worried about the past, but we only really have the present. We only have right now. And so I think it's very important for you guys to start realizing, stop dwelling on the past. Think about today and what you need to accomplish today, and keep winning the today, keep winning now, keep winning the one thing, keep working on that. But also think about that, like, and I always say this, but like think about that last chunk of life, because that's what that last 10 years, last 5 years, last 20 years, the last half, whatever you want to think about. And like, what kind of person do you want to be during that time? Do you want to be able to, again, play with your grandkids? Do you want to be able to function on your own? Do you want to have your kids take care of you? I would assume not necessarily. Do you want to be in a assisted living home? Do you want to be able to rent a jet ski and drive around the ocean in Florida? Do you want to be able to travel the world? What do you really want? Because the decisions you make now affect later, right? Living in the present affects the future. And a lot of us aren't thinking about the future, which is not necessarily... we need to think more of the future in the terms of like what our life can be, what our life can hold. Not so much worried about tomorrow and that little thing that is irritating you or that homework assignment or whatever it is, but 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now, for my young listeners. And again, if you're 40, 50, 60, there's still time to correct habits. Obviously, building the habits at a young age is very important. And that's why I'm personally on my team, my staff. A lot of our staff is 20s, right? 20s and 30s. I push them to be the best versions of themselves. And I get very irritated when I see them not caring about themselves. I can't assume everybody wants to be a carnivore. I can't assume everybody wants to be eating whole foods. You got to live a little, right? We're all going to die someday, right? These are things we say. But those are also things that we say to just make things easier on us. We say those things to like just, it's okay, don't worry about it, right? Like we're all going to die anyways. Like, yeah, that's 100%, yes, I agree. But I think you still need to think about, I think the video I just watched the other day, right, was if you could only have one car your entire life, I bet you'd take pretty good care of it. I bet you'd put the most premium gasoline in it. I bet you'd get your oil change done every time it was due. Like if you knew you only had one car for the rest of your life, that car would be like new 5 years from now, right? Like that's the mentality. And what does that one car resemble? That one car resembles your body, your health. That's all you've got. So again, this is kind of like a rant, but we all come here and we all leave here. It's what we do in the middle and how we, I just really am pushing that needle, that pushing the gas pedal on the last 10, 20 years of life can be amazing, or you can be a detriment to several other people by needing to be taken care of and not being able to function on your own. And now I'm not saying some of those things are unavoidable, right? Like I understand that, but just care about the future you and think about what you're doing today, not yesterday, but today, and how that's going to affect you in the future. Think about that. Do what you want with that. It's all about being 1% better every day. If you have that mentality, I'm not saying you can't have a little cheat meal. I'm not saying you can't do that, but everybody should be in the gym. Strength training is important. Creatine is important. Getting 10,000 steps a day is important. Water intake is important. Your family, your friends, your kids, all of these things are important. So set your life up for success and think about that future you. And what would that future you thank the you today for? If I make a decision today and in 20 years, what can I can look back and be like, you know what? I'm so thankful for my 27-year-old self because that's when I decided to make a change. That's when I decided to care about myself. That's when I decided to put myself first. That's when I had the best year of my life because I focused on fitness and me. I know one of the past episodes I told you guys, put yourself first and the rest of your life it just flows. That just makes sense. It just works better. Work out, be strong, be healthy, eat good, sleep good, and the rest of the day is just a piece of cake. Your work life is better. Your home life is better. Your friends, you and your friends' interactions are better. Your attitude's better. Your smile, like all of these things are better when you focus on the individual needs of you. So think about all of that stuff. I know it's kind of a lot, but it's pretty straightforward. Don't worry about the past. Worry about today. Focus on today. Look ahead. Look at future you. And I wish you guys the best. If you guys want to add me on Snapchat, it's Colton.Burt, Colton.Burt. Instagram, Facebook is Colton19. Email is marketing@fitnessgrizzly. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I cannot wait to see you guys in the next episode. Thank you much.